Hello everyone and welcome to Helix Cloud Games. My name is Richie and this is SideQuest, a cloud gaming topical discussion show where I do a deep dive into one topic. I completely tripped over my words there, but it's fine, I'm going to plow on. And in this week's show, we're discussing Project Spartacus. And I'm joined by the host of the Sounds of Stadia podcast and a Sony fan, Mr. Chris.
I am Spartacus.
No, you're not.
I'm not really, I'm Chris, yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely Chris.
I
Time
prefer to be
checked.
Chris, quite frankly, in today's world. Spartacus things quite out there.
Yeah,
quite different.
Yeah, this is a weird start of the show, but it is what it is.
We do.
But before we get into it, make sure you sub to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon for the notification to when all of our great shows go live, such as the Sounds of Stadia podcast every single Monday on YouTube and podcast services. And if you aren't listening on podcasts, give it a rating. We appreciate it. And our Thursday night live streams, which should be back. We missed last week, but we should be back this week. So, Chris, Project Spartacus. It's been rumoured for a while.
Right?
No, it's not.
It's got a name. It's the name we've used for 10 years now.
Yes, it is officially PlayStation Plus.
Surprise.
Kind of. We finally got the announcement of what it was, and because there's a big cloud gaming component to it, we decided we wanted to cover it. So there's 3 tiers. There is the PlayStation Plus Essential tier, which is basically what we have now.
Yeah, it's if you're on PlayStation Plus now, you just get shifted over to Essential.
Yeah, well, what I'll do is I'm going to go through the tiers quite quickly because I think most of our discussion points are going to focus on the premium tier because that's where there's the most cloud gaming things. But PlayStation Plus Essential, you get 2 monthly downloadable games, exclusive discounts, cloud storage, which shouldn't be part of a premium service for me nowadays. Online multiplayer access, again, I don't think that should be part of a premium service. That should be standard nowadays. Personal opinion. If you disagree with me, comments below. And that goes for $6.99 monthly or £49.99 a year. I'm going to use English and British prices throughout these things, but if you go to the PlayStation blog, they do have pricing for US, Europe, and Japan as well. Okay, next tier is PlayStation Plus Extra, which provides all the benefits of the Essential tier. Adds a catalogue of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalogue and third-party partners. Games in the Extra tier are downloadable to play, so no cloud offering here, and that starts at $10.99 a month or $83.99 a year. And there is a reason I am actually quoting the early ones as well, because it compares nicely with Xbox Game Pass, which this isn't a direct comparable service.
No.
But it is going to happen that people are going to compare the two.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Finally, there's the PlayStation Plus Premium tier, which gets everything the previous 2 tiers had. Adds up to 340 additional games. So now you're up to 740 games available as part of your subscription, including PS3 games, which will be available via cloud streaming, so not natively installed, but I think that's just down to the architecture of the PS3 being awkward.
Yep.
A catalogue of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PS2 and PSP generations. No Vita mentioned, but PSP offers these, I believe, are downloadable and streamable. Offers cloud streaming access for the original PlayStation, PS2, PSP and PS4 games, offered in the Extra and Premium tiers, where PlayStation Now is currently available. Customers can stream games using PS4 and PS5 consoles and PC, and time-limited game trials will also be offered in this tier, so customers can try select games before they buy, starting at £13.49 a month and or £99.99 a year. That's a lot of things.
A lot of information.
Yes.
As you said, I think we'll focus only on the premium one.
Yeah.
The cloud channel, of course.
I should also mention as well that PS Now is no longer going to be a thing. PS Now is replaced in this service.
Yeah. I think Sony have wanted to rebrand, change things for a while. PlayStation now, we've said many times on the podcast that it's not really gone anywhere since they bought Gaikai and launched it. It's not the best service out there, hands down. Like, we've trialed many of them, we've used them, our viewers and listeners have, and it's undoubtedly it's got a decent library, but the tech just isn't. It's just not up to snuff with the rest of them in the market, Microsoft and Stadia and even Luna. It's just not up there. So the biggest thing for me with premium is Sony using their legacy a lot more. It's nice to see them using their legacy a lot more. Still with some holes, but yeah, I think cloud streaming is clearly the way they're going for a lot of their content.
Yeah, I think they've looked at it, and for cloud streaming, especially for the PS3 generation, they've probably been trying to get that to work natively on PS4 and PS5 hardware, but they've probably just realised, actually, why don't we just stream them? Cloud streaming is probably the future of the video game industry, whether it's in the short, medium, or long term, and it gives people access to it. But I mean, we're getting games from PS1 all the way through to PS5 as part of the service. PS5 games, there's no mention that they'll be streamable through cloud services, though. That is worth mentioning.
I feel like there's like loads of little bits to look in. I think PlayStation 3 games being available is fantastic. I think cloud gaming is definitely a workaround for that PS3 cell processing architecture. That's just essentially it's dick them over in the long run. Them committing to this like particular niche type of processor, it's backfired on them because again, back in the day when they moved on generation to generation, no one really cared about their old games that much other than a few retro collectors, and it's only now content is king. And having more in your library, we've seen with Game Pass, the more you can get, the more value it looks to your customer. So rather than not having all this stuff sat on the table, you've got an amazing library of PS3 games, PS2, PSP, that go back decades now. Like, Sony have some literal nostalgia that is considered as retro. Like, PS2 and PSP is so retro now.
Sony entered the video game industry that was getting dominated by Nintendo. Sony basically retired Sega from the hardware market in a way. Like, Nintendo survived, but then actually just now off doing their own thing, and Sony kind of has been that kind of central point for me for the video game industry for a long time now. Microsoft joining them in there, but I think to make it easy, because I did say a lot of things like when I was breaking down the tiers. So for about £100 a year, you'll get your PS Plus stuff as you do now, but you can stream up to 740 games split between PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, and PSP generations.
Which is a lot.
That is a lot.
Like, for value, for what breaks down to less than, like, if you go for the yearly one, it breaks down to less than £10 a month, which is a phenomenal offering.
Which is
games.
Why I keep quoting the annual one, because that actually makes the service cheaper than Game Pass Ultimate. Now, it is confirmed, Jim Ryan has confirmed that you will not get AAA Sony games day and date as part of PlayStation as a service.
Yeah, they're not doing the Game Pass Xbox route.
Yeah, you're not going to get that. So it is a very different service.
But then this goes back to, they're offering that many titles here. Do they have to? I think that's always been Sony's stance. Is they we should also point out that like the premium tier on a monthly basis, £13.49, $17.99 stateside. That is more than Game Pass. So they're actually offering a tier now, which is more expensive than their competitor, which is offering day and date games. So you have to have premium and buy your games for $70, $80, £70 if you want to play them. But then is that not just the position they've got themselves in by having phenomenal games like Spider-Man, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon? Like, they've done the groundwork, they've put the investment into these studios, and now they're just kind of looking back and thinking, look at all the games we could just give people without having to sacrifice our day one AAA launches. I'm sure they'll come eventually to the service.
You mentioned about sacrificing, because Jim Ryan actually touches on this in the GameIndustry.biz article. Talking to GameIndustry.biz, we feel like we are in a good virtuous cycle with the studios, where the investment delivers success, which enables yet more investment, which delivers yet more success. We like that cycle, and we think our game is like that cycle. He then continues, putting our games into the service or any of our services upon their release. As you well know, this is not a road we've gone down in the past, and it's not a road that we're going to go down with this new service. We feel if we were to do that, the games that we make at PlayStation Studios, that virtuous cycle would be broken. The level of investment that we need to make in our studios would not be possible. Basically, he's saying, the way I'm reading this is, they've looked at the whole Game Pass model and realised in order for that to be sustainable for Sony, they will probably have to drop the level of investment into their first-party studios, which in turn would probably drop the quality into the games, and they just don't want to do that. And while as a gamer and a fan of Sony's first-party offerings, I would have loved to see God of War Ragnarok, Horizon 3, Spider-Man 3, all these sort of great games that
can we have Spider-Man 2
first? Yeah, well, we've got Miles Morales.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, these sort of games, I would love to see them day and date on a subscription service like Game Pass, but I would prefer them to be high quality games first and foremost.
Yeah, I wouldn't. And again, game development is so expensive now, and it's only going to go up, as with everything in life nowadays, it seems. But you're completely wrong. And he mentions in another games industry article as well, they talk about Netflix and streaming services, Amazon Prime, the content on those streaming platforms. It's never exclusive forever. It comes and goes. And we've seen with Game Pass that actually stuff drops on, it drops off. And Sony have this kind of great back catalogue of content that it's theirs for the most part through their own studios, the first party publishing. And it's an interesting one. But yeah, I'd hate to think the sacrifice it. And this is always the argument with Game Pass. It's being like, how long is it sustainable for? Like Microsoft dropped 10 million to Square Enix to get Guardians of the Galaxy earlier this year.
Yeah.
How often do you just go dropping millions and millions before it becomes like viable? And we've seen it with Netflix. They cancel shows after one season because it's not seen the return of viewers. So
it's return on investment. Yeah.
At what point game studios here, at the risk of, if your game doesn't get so many subs returned or players engaged, you're out of there. Like you're gone. Like it's an interesting world we're moving into. That's for certain.
I actually appreciate how candid Jim Ryan's been about it. It could be very easy for him to kind of dodge I know it's game industry, not business, so they're talking business sort of stuff. But the fact he's pretty much straight up saying, if we did that, the Game Pass style, we couldn't afford to make a God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I just appreciate how candid it is. Like, so it's like, he's not leaving anyone on any illusions. Like, this, we're not doing it, this is why.
Yeah. And again, this just goes back to Sony and not Microsoft owned. They do not have, we've seen with the Activision acquisition, they don't have the money in the coffers that Microsoft do. Like, yes, they're a huge company. They're worth millions upon millions across movie divisions, TV, everything. However, they do not have the bank that companies like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon have in the coffers. They just physically do not. No. So competing in longevity and continued success, they've done the work in terms of putting the quality into their games. And as a gamer, that's what I want to keep them doing. But I guess to pivot, Richie, back to the one thing, which is the games, we haven't got a list yet. They didn't come out and showcase. It doesn't launch till June, we should say. So you've got a few months until they've kind of given the breakdown.
By the end of the first half of 2022, so I'm expecting June. But yeah, I think a lot of this comes down to the games, because I mean, across the extra tier you get for up to 400, the premium tier you get an additional 340. So set up to 740 games. That's a lot of games that you're going to suddenly get access to if you're on the premium tier.
Yeah. How much of that is going to be crap?
But we don't know what they are. Oh God, there's going to be absolute dross in there.
Now, you know what? I would take some classic PS1 games over shovelware any day. Yeah. Because it's a complete finished game. No patches, no updates, no online play. Just, there's the game. I'll take that.
Yeah, well, this is it. And they are both Sony and third-party stuff that'll be on the service, so...
Gex, Deep Cover Gecko?
Yeah, the thing for me is, like, I can't turn around right now and go, this is worth £100 a year, because I don't know what the games are. And it is literally double the price of the the essential thing, which what you're getting now
yeah.
for this extra stuff. And it is, for me, I mean, I dare say, and we don't know if they're going to cycle them in and out, because they do keep saying up to. Does that mean they've put a hard cap on it, and then one game comes, one game replaces it, or will they continue to grow that? There's still a lot of questions to be answered, which I'm sure we'll hear more about over the next couple of months.
Oh, undoubtedly. You'd hope there's going to be event like a state of play where it says the state of play PlayStation Plus, and they go to town on jazzing this up.
Nitty-gritty of everything this is. Cause...
Yeah, this needs to be like, this is premium. You're getting like the entire Infamous trilogy. You're getting all of these titles from like yesteryear, that like beloved franchises that people have such fond memories of. You want them? You can play them for free. Well, not free, but included, I should say.
A state of play that breaks down the different tiers in a better way than I'm doing it. And then goes, here's some of the games that you will get in the service. By the way, there's a blog post dropping right now that has every single title you'll get. Yeah, just list them.
List them.
I mean, again, split by platform, but list them.
Yeah. And a big pull, I know Jim Ryan's actually been quoted as saying before, is like, people don't, like, their statistics show people don't play the older games, even though they ask for them all the time. They don't play them as much, and he's right. Like, I love my collection I've got of old games. I've got a shelf full of PS1, PS2, and PS3 games right here. The reality is, I don't play them that often. Like, sometimes I have a game night where we get together, we have a few drinks, and we laugh at how clunky they are, and we go back and have a chuckle to ourselves. But gamers are usually looking forward to the future. So if anything, this is just to fill the coffers a little bit with that perceived value.
Yeah,
it's so many. How can it not be good value?
I do think there is value there if you play the games. You mentioned like people don't play the games, and I think when you think about it, there's a logical sense there, because the younger audience who probably have more time to game don't have much like nostalgia for the older games, so they can't play these games through with rose tinted glasses. So if they jump in the first Metal Gear Solid, that's a clunky mess probably to them. It doesn't look pretty at all.
Tank controls.
That's a weird top-down perspective, but we could play for that game no problems, have a great time.
The guy doesn't have a face. It's just like pixelated.
It's just a block.
It's just
with a text stretched over it.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't really have the time, and things like look at Horizon, Forbidden West. It's just eating up most of my gaming time right now, and then I've got other things I'll be moving on to after that. Yeah. So there's I like it for game preservation.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic for that. And again, it's embracing cloud, which is what we're all about here at Helix Cloud Games. So the more focusing on that, the better.
Up to PS4 games as well. And to be fair, if you don't get a PS5 in the next couple of years, you can be perfectly content with just a PS4. PS4 is a games console that is still perfectly serviceable. It's not as pretty as a PS5. But I don't think PS5 games are that miles ahead of what PS4 games are.
No, definitely not. And there's nothing to say they won't add PS5 and later on. Their priority probably right now is just getting all the other legacy console stuff to work fine. Because they're throwing PSP generation. What the hell's a PSP game going to up-res to my 4K TV? The living room going to look like? I have no idea. Am I down for it though? Yes.
I'm surprised Vita hasn't made the cut. I think the only reason I can think of that is, did they just not have time to get it finished?
No, I think with the Vita, it's the touchpad on the back. I think that's how that translates to a controller. It's caused a lot of problems with other ports. Tearaway, great Vita game.
But in terms of the tech, you could do the tech and just go, you know what? If it requires a touchpad on the back, then it's not going to make this service, because it just can't.
Yeah. So
you could pick and choose. It's like the touchpad on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. For most games, use it as a select button, and that's it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because this game, like, it's a shame that they're left, but like one of the great Uncharted games is Uncharted Golden Abyss, launch title for Vita, still probably my favourite game on the Vita, that utilises the touch screen and the touchpad.
Yeah.
So it's like you're playing with a lot of touch elements that I'm sure you could replicate, but it's probably not going to be as easy as support. You're going to actively have to go in there and button map and do some clever workarounds. And do they have the manpower to actually even bother with that right now?
You could go for a Pokemon Shining Pearl, Brilliant Diamond style clunky solution where, like, you know, the Pokétch, that thing that pops up in the top right corner of the screen. Well, that used to be on the bottom screen of the DS.
Oh, is that what?
So
okay,
it makes sense when you think of it. Oh, if this was on the second screen, it makes a lot more sense than this clunky, horrible thing.
I wondered what.
So they just found it. It's isn't a better solution. I don't think it's not great.
Takes time and money to do, and if you're talking hundreds, you know what? The Vita games could just be a nice little perk they add to premium in 2 years' time. Great news! We're now bringing 200 Vita games across as well to expand on the library even more. So.
There's a couple of things I think we should mention as well, that there is no mention of any technical improvements to the cloud gaming service. So if you've tried PS Now and it hasn't worked for you, expect the same.
Yeah. Like, maybe a bit more forgiving when it's a PS2 game. The quality might not be as bad when it's playing still, a game from 15 plus years ago.
I don't think it matters that much because you're still streaming a video. A 1080p video, whether, like, because the problem is not the rendering of the game, it's the compression, transmitting, and decompiling, you inputting it and sending it back. That's where the issues come in, because it's the same thing we see with Stadia. Stadia's hardware can pretty much run anything, but the issue is more the reason why we say Stadia's tech is the best, despite things like GeForce Now is. Like their 3080 tier.
Oh yeah.
They're having a better GPU. It's a streaming tech, not the graphics processing tech that is better.
Yeah.
They are also expanding this to more regions. So places that don't have PS Now, you might start getting access to this. They don't say where.
Yeah.
Again,
there's also.
I think there's a state of play to come with more info about this.
Oh yeah, stuff. I mean, it has to be right. There has to be. They also mentioned that the stream games they can do it using the PS4 and PS5 and PC, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time you're going to be able to stream these titles to PC as well. So
I think PS Now is on
works
PC.
on PC, but I'm saying with these games as well. So it's a whole slew of games I can now play sat here at my PC.
I don't think you can be able to download the games to PC.
No, I think it's only
they might come because Sony is starting to play nicer with PC actually, so that might come.
Yeah.
But you could.
It's a lot of work.
I'd imagine if you're used to using PS Now on PC, the icon will probably just get updated to PS Plus.
Overnight, just goes. Whoop.
Yeah, it'll be one of them things. You'll get you'll do the update, and then it's now PS Plus. That's what I'll be expecting there.
Yeah, there is a big rumor as well that Sony is still looking at doing an acquisition some point by the end of the week or next week. It'll probably be at the time this goes live. So we don't know what that is, whether it's a developer or not. But I know my ideal situation would be like, in line with our PlayStation Plus membership refresh, we're also going to be working with Google Stadia to launch. Oh, no, Google Stadia to launch the cloud tech so we can improve PlayStation Now based on this Google Stream whatever. Yeah. I know that won't happen. That's a dream, but could you imagine? If actually, Richie, is a question just to pose you as we wrap up the show. If Google were to turn around to us now and say, Sony are acquiring the Stadia tech, they want to use it for PlayStation Plus or whatever. Yeah. Your existing Pro library will migrate into PlayStation Plus. Would you be sound with that?
Yeah, 100%. Like.
So that's PlayStation Now with, what you've just re-Phoenixed.
Yeah, what you've just pitched to me is I'm losing nothing, and Sony, who I think make some of the best games in the industry, are gaining this tech, which I think is fantastic. So this is kind of a win for me, to be honest. And yeah, we've always said the critical flaw in Stadia is the game library. Mm-hmm. The problem's resolved by moving over to Sony.
Yeah. Well, it crossed my mind because I thought actually you wouldn't lose the games because all the games on Stadia are available on PlayStation. So if they could just hash out some agreement where your existing library migrated across, then no one's really at a loss because you can still play them in the cloud anywhere through a link. It'll just be branded as PlayStation instead. But that's just my like when I hear acquisitions and mergers and I'm like the Stadia tech is so good. How companies like Nintendo and Sony can't swallow their pride, turn to Google and go, look, you clearly do this better than us. We do everything else better than you. let's figure something out.
Google will be down to talk because we know they're pushing white label. In fact, we even know that they're pushing white label harder than they're pushing Stadia itself.
Yeah.
So I think they'd be very. If Sony rang up Google and went, "We're interested in Stadia's tech," they'd be absolutely ecstatic. I think over at Google.
Yeah. And because, if they could say, like, that library of 700 plus games we can have running in the cloud better than you can ever do with your Gaikai shit.
Yeah.
Or you like again, let's remember they do have deals with Microsoft and Azure, Sony, to keep stuff like ticking over.
But if that runs out...
Well, yeah, exactly. It's your competitor you're dealing with. Whereas I don't think Sony sees Stadia as a competitor. And they probably shouldn't. They don't have 30 years of legacy that we're talking about here. But, yeah, interesting. Because... Yeah, again, like, this premium package looks great, but if it still runs as crap as PlayStation Now currently is, then I'm not interested.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is I think one of the critical flaws in PlayStation Now isn't actually a problem necessarily with PlayStation Now. It's like, I've used Sony's streaming tech, and for me, I use Remote Play quite a lot. And the critical flaw, I honestly think, is the wireless card in my PlayStation 4. Because when I've tested PS Now on PS5, I get a lot better performance. Yeah. And the wireless card, I've done speed checks across my entire home network. The card in the PS5 is much better than the PS4. It's capable of much higher speeds. I think you're capped at maybe like 30, 40 megabit per second on the PS4.
Yeah.
It wasn't designed for game streaming.
Yeah. Which,
unfortunately, I can imagine people... This might want to be one of the reasons why PS5 games aren't coming. They want to get more PS5s out in the wild.
Yeah.
Who knows, but...
Well, that's it, yeah. The more they lean into cloud, the more they potentially eat into their own sales of hardware, which... It might not be a bad thing, because they don't make much profit on the hardware notoriously. It's always... It's you get rid of the systems to shift the software.
These are surprising omission I've realised as well is there's no mention of mobile.
Yeah, that like them doing the PC thing. I think that's something they're maybe not ready for yet.
Is PS Now on mobile? I can't remember.
I don't think you can
I forgot to look it up. Remote plays.
Yeah, remote play, but actual playing games on your phone isn't. That's an omission.
I wouldn't recommend like using remote play to stream to like your PS5 to your PS. I wouldn't recommend using PS Now to stream to your PS4 and then use remote play to stream from your PS4 to your phone. I think that's when you get into the point where latency is going to be a massive issue.
Yeah, and think of the planet. Think of all the devices you've got just to run one damn game. There's also, we should point out, titles as well. Aside from mobile, they did mention there's going to be a flex in the library as well. So Death Stranding, God of War, Spider-Man, Returnal, that's all going to be included as well. So they're also adding some big hitter games in to probably maybe launch it with a bit of a bang and be like, well, hey, look at these, you're also getting. Crazy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for this, and there's a lot of things I do like the look of. Do you think it's worth £100 a year?
Paying it in one go always sucks, but you know what? I pay probably a couple of quid less currently for my PlayStation Plus that I don't use that much. Throw in if this list of games means I'm going to spend a few hours here, a few hours here, diving back into the nostalgic past of PlayStation generations. If they give me Metal Gear Solid 3 or something I can play on my TV in the living room all of a sudden, or some classic Infamous or Resistance.
I will point out, if anyone is interested in going for the premium tier, I would strongly recommend, if you can afford it, go for the yearly, because if you pay monthly, you're paying an extra £60 across the year. It's a significant saving per yearly, which is I actually pay my PS Plus now annually.
Now?
But not PS Now. I don't have PS Now at the moment. My PlayStation Plus subscription, which I currently have active, I pay for that annually.
Funny.
Beyond that, but I kind of don't use my PlayStation Plus that often, to be honest. As I said, I don't think cloud storage for saves and online multiplayer access, that's something that feels archaic to me. Mm-hmm. That should have been jettisoned with this update, but
yeah, it's
especially
an interesting
when
one.
PS5 saves can't be ported to PS4, so I can't use my PS5 save of Horizon on my PS4, which is annoying, despite the fact that I have the disc for the PS4 version.
Like PlayStation never really done a good job at kind of aligning all of their own database, and the PlayStation 3 catalog is the prime example of that.
Which is literally why I actually use Remote Play, to be honest.
Yeah, and Xbox do a fantastic job at like cross-generation cloud content and saves and everything. It's great. It runs seamlessly. You boot up an old game, we're using the disc, and it gives you the latest patched version, and your save file from like 2015 or something is just there waiting for you, which is terrific. But again, the best takeaway from us, I think, on this channel is just the pivot towards cloud. There's more games in the cloud than ever before. And I'm just great to see that the kind of tech that we discuss and talk about, I'd like not on an expert level, but I'd say we're quite well versed in cloud gaming across the board now.
We're definitely above average.
And as someone who's like, I'd say PlayStation's my favourite top tier gaming platform of all time. I'm a massive PlayStation fan. The fact that they're just beginning to embrace it makes me excited. Stuff to talk about. And
they are growing cloud, as I mentioned. They are bringing us to more markets. But that's all we have time for this week. If you've liked the video, hit that like button and consider becoming a member for as little as 99p, where you can get access to this show incredibly early, a whole 6 days usually, sometimes even sooner than that depending when we record. If you've got an idea for a topic you want us to discuss in a future video, let us know in the comments of this video or in our Discord server. Also, I want everyone to go, what games would they most like to see come to premium? You don't need 700 games, but 1 or 2 would be nice.
Give me your entire top 700 games.
In fact, I'm going to say it right now. If you do list 740 games that you would like to see on the servers, I'm not reading that. It will take too long.
I thought you were going to give them a prize. I was going to say, don't do that. We'll just copy and paste the list from Wikipedia or somewhere.
Don't waste each of our times. 5. Give me 5 games. The 5 games that you most want to see come to the servers. And with that,
Mafia.
Yeah. You're the one who needs to leave. I'm trying to end the show.
Who knows? Sorry.
With that, thank you very much for watching. I've been Richie.
My name's been Chris.
Quest completed.